The schoolteacher murder and an aerial attack against a relentless enemy. Fires running wild in the American West.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. He is pushing, he is prodding, he is testing President Bush. Saddam Hussein tried again today to bring down a U.S. military aircraft enforcing what are supposed to be no-fly zones in Iraq. President Bush is not saying what, if anything, he plans to do about these challenges, but they are coming more frequently now, as CBS News national security correspondent David Martin reports.
2 Iraqi MiGs flew 40 miles into the southern no-fly zone in an apparent attempt to shoot down an unmanned American reconnaissance drone. They retreated without firing a shot, but it was the 3rd attempt in less than a week to shoot down a surveillance aircraft. Saddam Hussein seems once again on a collision course with a president named Bush.
There's no question that Saddam Hussein is still a menace and a problem, and the United States and our allies must put the pressure on him.
The president said he is still analyzing an incident earlier this week in which a U-2 spy plane patrolling over southern Iraq was almost hit by a surface-to-air missile. That close call came just days after a Navy radar plane operating over Kuwait reported being fired on by an Iraqi missile.
That was in the sovereign airspace of another nation, and that's a reckless and aggressive behavior that we all condemn.
But what is the Bush administration going to do about it? The Pentagon is drafting plans for a retaliatory strike, but before any orders are issued, senior officials say they have to make sure they won't repeat the mistakes of the last major attack on Iraq.
Last February, the U.S. hit a network of air defense radars and command centers on the outskirts of Baghdad. The strike was unpopular with America's Arab allies and not very effective, since many of the precision-guided weapons missed their targets. Iraq has already rebuilt most of the network.
It has largely been reconstituted. As we said at the time, this was not going to be a permanent impact.
Bottom line, the threat to American aircraft over Iraq is once again increasing. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Top-level Kremlin arms talks today produced no break in negotiations over President Bush's proposed missile defense shield. After meeting with President Putin, U.S. National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice said that despite Russian objections, President Bush will go ahead with missile tests banned by the 1972 ABM Treaty, which the U.S. signed. CBS has more tonight of our hard news investigation into market manipulation by energy suppliers in the West. Earlier this week, correspondent Vince Gonzalez reported that federal regulators refused to tell what they knew about the case. That refusal drew fast and furious reaction on Capitol Hill today, and Gonzalez now tells you what happened when Congress demanded answers.
That's unconscionable. It's unconscionable that all this stuff is sealed.
Today, members of the FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, were forced to answer questions raised by a CBS News investigation.
I'm troubled by the fact that the network news the other night reported on a secret FERC investigation that found that 2 companies were keeping power plants out of service to raise electricity prices.
The companies, Williams Energy and AES, settled with the FERC. Neither admitted any wrongdoing. Williams paid $8 million, and the evidence was sealed, including documents and audio tapes of company employees arranging to keep plants shut down. FERC Chairman Kurt Hebert defended the secrecy.
I actually see the AES Williams as something very positive.
That angered California Senator Dianne Feinstein.
Now there's someone you can go to all in secret. You can work out your deal. Nobody ever knows what really happened. That's wrong, Mr. Hebert. It's wrong.
I truly believe the settlement process does bring benefits, and I do think it is a good indication that FERC was, and will continue to be vigilant.
But the chairman was in the minority. 3 commissioners testified the evidence should have been made public.
A big case involving withholding with very interesting evidence comes before us, and we bury the evidence, and it hurts our credibility and makes it look like we're conspiring with the industry.
Future FERC chairman and Bush appointee Pat Woods says going public and making an example of the companies might have been worth more than the refund.
When a few heads on the stakes around the campfire make all the animals behave a lot better in the forest.
Now some senators want to see the evidence for themselves.
But the FERC refused a CBS News request for documents, and today faxed this letter stating the FERC will not release the audio tapes either. We will appeal that decision. Vince Gonzalez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
There are unanswered questions and secrecy tonight on another government matter. The core question in this case, why is the Attorney General of the United States doing all his air travel by specially chartered jet at taxpayer expense? CBS's Jim Stewart has been looking into this for you.
Fishing rod in hand, Attorney General John Ashcroft left on a weekend trip to Missouri this afternoon aboard a chartered government jet in response to inquiries from CBS News over why Ashcroft was traveling exclusively by leased jet aircraft instead of commercial airlines. The Justice Department cited what it called a threat assessment by the FBI and said Ashcroft has been advised to travel only by private jet for the remainder of his term. There was a threat assessment and there are guidelines. He is acting under the guidelines, an FBI spokesman said. Neither the FBI nor the Justice Department, however, would identify what the threat was, when it was detected, or who made it. A senior official at the CIA said he was unaware of any specific threats against any cabinet member, and Ashcroft himself at a speech in California seemed unsure of the threat.
What can you tell us about the nature of that threat?
I don't do threat assessments myself, and I rely on those whose responsibility it is to in the law enforcement community, particularly the FBI.
Do you know anything about it or who might have made it?
I think it's, frankly, I don't. No, that's the answer.
Earlier this week, the Justice Department leased this NASA-owned G3 Gulfstream for a 6-day trip to western states. Such aircraft cost the government more than $1,600 an hour to fly. When asked whether Ashcroft was paying for any portion of the trips devoted to personal business, a Justice Department spokeswoman declined to respond. All other Bush cabinet appointees, with the exception of Interior and Energy with remote sites to oversee, fly commercial. The Secretaries of State and Defense traditionally travel with extra security on military aircraft.
Former Attorney General Janet Reno routinely flew commercial, and the Justice Department insisted that it wasn't Ashcroft who wanted to fly leased aircraft. That plan, they said, was strictly the idea of Ashcroft's FBI security detail. The FBI had no further comment. Dan.
Jim Stewart. A sentencing hearing today in Florida stirred deep emotions and stoked the nation's debate about trying juveniles as adults. It is the case of Nathaniel Brazil, convicted of second-degree murder for killing a schoolteacher. He could be sentenced to life without parole. CBS's Mark Strassman was in court to hear the arguments for and against.
At 14, Nathaniel Brazil is a convicted killer and bound for adult prison. Today, his mother pleaded with a sentencing judge not to put the boy behind bars for life.
How can we just throw away kids like this and talk about putting them in jail for the rest of their life? They haven't even had a life yet.
14 months ago today, Brazil shot his middle school teacher in the face. It was the last day of school and Brazil's last day of freedom if teacher Barry Gruneau's family has their way.
Barry's family and friends are left to heal broken hearts and carry on.
For the boy they call an apprentice killer, the Gruneaus want a life sentence, if only for the sake of the slain teacher's children.
They've been given a life sentence without their father. Please don't punish them again by letting the person who murdered their father out on the streets when they're adults.
Outside the courthouse, demonstrators argued Brazil is a child, salvageable and deserves leniency. And child rights advocates looking on worry Florida sends more children to adult prison than any other state.
We just would remind the judge and remind the American public that the courts are supposed to be a venue for justice and not a venue for social revenge.
Finally, the 14-year-old convicted killer pleaded, he says remorsefully, for a second chance.
I would like to say to everyone that I'm very, very sorry. And Mr. Gruneau's family, I'm sorry. And regardless of what anyone thinks, I never intended to hurt Mr. Gruneau.
Sentencing comes tomorrow. Brazil will get at least 25 years, but legal analysts say the judge is inclined to sentence harshly, to give the boy life in prison. Dan?
Mark Strassman in West Palm Beach, Florida. In a sign of the violent times, America's largest teachers union said today it plans to offer members a $150,000 homicide insurance benefit. The National Education Association said the money would go to the families of teachers slain on the job. Fire insurance is on a lot of people's minds tonight, with the western wildfire season now going wild in Wyoming. Thousands of acres have gone up in smoke, with residents forced from luxury homes and places in and around Jackson Hole looking more like Jackson Hell. CBS's Jerry Bowen is in Wyoming in the thick of it. Jerry?
Dan, they call it the Green Knoll Fire, 2,500 acres in size and billowing back to life again on the afternoon winds. As the humidity plunged, the flames roared back to life on the ridgeline 6 miles west of Jackson today. Pine trees erupting in flame, doused by water-dropping helicopters, one after another, 800 gallons at a time. On the smoldering forest floor, hotshot crews from Helena to Santa Fe drew the line, a fire line they hope will stop or stall the next blaze kicked up by the winds that are gusting to 40 miles an hour.
If we can keep the fire on the ground as it hits the line, most of the time it'll stop it.
At its worst yesterday, the fire consumed 1,000 acres in just 4 hours, coming within 1 mile of neighborhoods of luxury homes. 400 people were forced to evacuate. This morning, some residents were allowed to return for just 1 hour to gather whatever they could.
We were pretty prepared for it. We've kept our insurance up, and it's just pretty shocking when it actually happens.
And as the temperature and wind speeds climbed, fire-retardant dropping planes repeatedly bombed the latest outbreak. But it's a battle the fire is winning for now.
And it's throwing many, many spots way ahead of itself, a quarter to half a mile ahead of itself. And I mean, there's just literally hundreds and hundreds of these spots, and we cannot keep up with them.
So another uneasy night approaches, with homeowners hoping the fire crews and their own rooftop sprinkler systems can return nature to a kinder, gentler state. The cause isn't known, a careless camper or perhaps a lightning strike. But the good news is, so far, no homes lost and no one injured. Dan?
Jerry Bowen in Wilson, Wyoming. Next here on the CBS Evening News, Eye on America investigates just how far drug companies will go to keep your prescription drug prices so high.
Gotta go right now. Gotta go. Gotta go right now. Gotta go.
I have to go now.
If an overactive bladder makes you go and go and go, go to your doctor and ask about Detrol LA.
Gotta go. Gotta go. Gotta go.
Just one daily dose works for 24 hours to help control bladder contractions that cause those sudden urges and reduces accidents and bathroom visits.
Right now? Hey, I don't have to go.
Prescription Detrol LA. Individual results may vary. You shouldn't take it if you have certain kinds of stomach, urinary, or glaucoma problems. The most common side effects are dry mouth, constipation, abdominal pain, and headache.
And I don't have to go right now.
Ask your doctor about Detrol LA for overactive bladder when you've always got to go.
Ouch! Pain again? I thought your dentist said brush with Sensodyne every day.
I stopped when the pain stopped.
Keep using it. It keeps working.
Sensodyne every day. Now try Sensodyne Tartar Control Plus Whitening every day.
When Tony brought me home to meet his mother, she was a little surprised. She wanted a good Italian wife for him. She got someone who teaches him Yiddish. We have our differences, it's true, but we are bonding. She gave me her grandmother's good tablecloth. It survived 2 generations. Now it's up to me.
Tide Deep Clean formula combines an amazing detergent with the power of a pre-treater. It's all you need for the best stain fighting ever.
Married life is great. All 3 of us are having a blast.
Yoo-hoo! Take that laxative and you miss the bus. Huh? It contains harsh stimulants that could cause cramps.
Sounds worse than constipation.
Phillips is different. It's stimulant-free, so you don't have to feel worse before you feel better.
That's great.
Ford says their F-150 is built tough. But our engineers will tell you the GMC Sierra has more horsepower, more towing capacity, and more front headroom and rear legroom. If you want all that from an F-150, well, that is tough. For great offers this summer on remaining 2001 Sierras before they're all gone, Hurry to the pros at your GMC dealer today.
Tonight's Eye on America investigation brings you new facts about why prescription drugs cost so much and why cheaper alternative drugs are often hard to come by. What CBS's Jim Axelrod found will open your eyes about just how far the big drug companies go to make you pay more.
Ask Keith Alderman if he needs the anti-anxiety drug Buspar.
Before the Buspar, I would not leave the house. I would be locked up for 3-4 days.
Keith, on full-time disability, always hoped for a cheaper, generic version of the drug. When he heard how Buspar's maker, Bristol Myers Squibb, kept one off the market, he sued.
It's not about money to me and profit margins. To me, it's about my life.
Buspar's patent was set to expire, and the generic drug company, Mylan, had approval to sell a cheaper alternative. But, according to the lawsuit, 12 hours before the patent expired, Bristol Myers won a new patent, one that didn't cover the drug itself, but a chemical produced in the body after taking Buspar.
Let me make sure I understand this. Big pharmaceutical companies try to patent something your body produces?
Absolutely.
Explain that to me.
It defies explanation.
Actually, it may be fairly simple. In the 4 months it took Mylan to get a court to invalidate the new patent, Bristol Myers earned an estimated $253 million on Buspar.
Even after they lose the lawsuit, they've actually won because they've delayed the generic drug from going to market.
This practice of obtaining new patents on existing drugs is one of the drug companies' most potent weapons in their war against generics. Each time a name brand company files a patent infringement suit, the law automatically blocks a generic competitor from market for 2.5 years.
Some of the techniques that the drug companies are using to add on patent life at the end are pretty abusive.
But don't think big drug companies just wait to the end to build a firewall of patent protection. Take this antidepressant, granted one patent for its contents, and then another soon after for its tablet structure, the way it can be broken into halves or thirds. Then there's the cancer drug Platinol, given a patent for the color of its bottle, since overturned.
The pharmaceutical industry doesn't set the rules with respect to what is patentable and what is not.
Ask your doctor about the purple pill.
Clearly, there's plenty of incentive to extend the monopolies. Prilosec, the little purple pill, means a lot of green. $11 million a day for AstraZeneca, which may be why the company's filed 11 additional patents in the last 19 years.
And they go after this like it's gold, because it is.
Senators Charles Schumer and John McCain are co-sponsoring a bill that would rewrite the rules, including removal of that automatic 2.5-year extension.
The pharmaceutical companies have found ways to just overwhelm the generic companies.
Drugs worth at least $20 billion in sales are due to come off patent in the next 5 years. Since the drug industry spends more on lobbying than any other, consumers can expect any fight to change the way drug companies battle and profit to be fierce. For Eye on America, I'm Jim Axelrod in New York.
There may be a new attempt in Congress to revive what's called the Patient's Bill of Rights, including the right to sue an HMO. House Republican leaders who blocked an earlier attempt at a vote now say they may reschedule the vote for next week. This could hinge on whether there's a compromise reached by then on restrictions President Bush wants on the patient's right to sue.
Viagra has helped millions of men, but don't tell that to Lee. He blames the drug for his heart attack.
My prognosis is not very good. It's completely ruined my life.
Lee's not alone, but is Viagra to blame? Before you take another blue pill, see our report tomorrow on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
You strive for perfection in the kitchen. Wield highly precise instruments. Test things 500,000 times. Work with tolerances of less than 1,000th of an inch. You could be making a Delta faucet. Precisely crafted and relentlessly refined, Delta faucets achieve perfection in the kitchen. Even if you can't. Delta, beautifully engineered.
It's so easy. You'll love Ziploc Easy Zipper.
Now you can easy zip it and know it's closed. Ziploc Easy Zipper. Easy open, easy close. Easy Zipper.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. Better than he was before. Better, stronger, faster.
Introducing the all-new 270-horsepower Chevy Trailblazer, the most powerful mid-size sport utility in the world. It's one strong SUV. The new 2002 Chevy Trailblazer, like a rock.
You want the very best for your best friends. Proper nutrition, regular exercise. And when it comes to monthly heartworm, you can forget it. Now there's Pro Heart 6. Just one dose from your veterinarian protects against heartworm disease for 6 months. Use with caution in sick, debilitated, or underweight animals. Side effects may include mild swelling or itching at the injection site. Forget monthly heartworm. Remember Pro Heart 6, the 6-month preventative, only from your veterinarian.
I'm the bus lady. Some mornings I was so constipated I could hardly drive my kids to school. I felt bloated, all knotted up. But mornings now are different.
Good morning.
Thanks to new X-Lax Milk of Magnesia. It's gentle, stimulant-free, cramp-free, which means a good night's sleep. Plus that X-Lax guarantee of relief by 8 a.m., which means a good morning.
Max, great hat.
New X-Lax Milk of Magnesia with the X-Lax Good Morning Guarantee.
You know, if it weren't for my wife's arthritis, she wouldn't be here today. She's always depended on Extra Strength Bayer for arthritis pain.
Then when Mom had a heart attack, she knew to take Original Strength Bayer, like the doctor said.
Bayer. Take it for pain, take it for life.
A political defeat appears to be looming for the Bush White House on the hotly debated issue of regulating Mexican trucks entering this country. With 19 Republicans joining in, the Senate ignored a presidential veto threat and voted to stop a Republican filibuster and back tougher safety regulations for the Mexican trucks than President Bush wants. One of the 2 legal U.S. residents expelled by China today after being convicted of spying for Taiwan is now back in the United States. Gao Zhang, who teaches at American University in Washington, arrived in the capital today, accompanied by her husband and son. Gao was convicted Tuesday and sentenced to 10 years in prison. The Chinese granted her medical parole. She has a heart problem. The peace process and ceasefire are back on track in Macedonia. So say NATO chief George Robertson and Javier Solana of the European Union, who joined peace talks today in a last-ditch effort to avert outright civil war. A funeral procession today for a leader of Hamas killed when Israeli missiles slammed into his car. Thousands of Palestinian marchers vowed revenge suicide attacks. And Israel has begun tracking countries in which Israeli officials, such as Prime Minister Sharon, could face war crime charges over the 1982 massacre of Palestinian refugees in Lebanon and other acts. Philip Morris apologized today for a company-funded study that called early death a positive effect of smoking because it saves the government money. The tobacco company said commissioning the study was, and I quote, a terrible mistake. With computer sales slumping, Hewlett-Packard says it's cutting 6,000 more jobs. That's on top of nearly 5,000 announced earlier. Stocks closed higher today. The Dow gained 49, the Nasdaq 38. The struggling Xerox Corporation today became the 5th Fortune 500 company to appoint a woman as its chief executive officer. She is Anne Mulcahy, who's in charge of efforts to return Xerox to prominence and profitability.
Lose weight safely with Purelin weight loss tablets and diet plan.
With Purelin, I can lose weight without having to worry about diet pills affecting my blood pressure.
Or my heart or prostate, and I feel years younger.
And you look years younger.
Purelin's special homeopathic formula doesn't react with any other medication. Purelin weight loss tablets are even recommended if you're diabetic or have thyroid disease.
Purelin takes the worry out of losing weight.
Introducing the all-new Silverado Heavy Duty. the most powerful heavy-duty pickup you can get. Silverado Heavy Duty. More truck from Chevy.
Our vision of the future? To see more family and friends.
Because health concerns change after 50, Centrum Silver added lutein. Emerging science suggests that lutein and other nutrients may help reduce the risk of cataracts. Give your life a silver lining with Centrum Silver.
Tired of struggling down glass after glass of powdered fiber for regularity? Consider refreshing glasses of water with FiberCon tablets. A whole lot easier to take.
And every bit as effective as powder.
FiberCon, refreshingly easier to take.
The long jump. The dash. Life is like a sport, and your feet take the impact hard. But new Stride Guard insoles absorb 50% more heel impact than these Dr. Scholl's. Take more impact in Stride. New Stride Guard insoles.
I want the good years you have on sale and free mounting. And I want a free rotation anytime and a Die-Hard battery free.
Sure.
Cool.
Now at Sears Auto Center, buy 4 Goodyear tires and get a free Die-Hard battery. Sears, America's #1 tire retailer.
Best Western, the world's largest hotel chain, is almost anywhere you want to go. The world's largest hotel chain tucks you in around the globe. With over 4,000 hotels in over 80 countries, the world's largest hotel chain is Best Western, inviting you to get a good night's sleep. Best Western, the world's largest hotel chain. Call 1-800-WESTERN or visit bestwestern.com.
We slow down in construction zones to protect workers, but you may be the one in danger. We'll show you. Coin 6 News at 6.
In our evening news end notes, in Cincinnati, Steve Cooper showed off his miracle baby, Alexis. She was delivered full-term and healthy by a mother who's been in a coma since a car crash early in her pregnancy. Doctors don't know if Chastity Cooper will ever wake up, but her husband says she appeared to smile after the baby was born. President Bush gave congressional gold medals today to 4 Navajos, surviving members of the World War II Code Talkers. Serving in the U.S. Marines, they used the Navajo language to create a code Japan could never break. An example, a submarine became Beshlo, Navajo for iron fish. And that's part of our world tonight. I'll be back later with 48 Hours with that great correspondent, Harold Dow.
Users say it's happiness in a pill, but the government says ecstasy is dangerous.
There's feelings of euphoria, total happiness with the world.
For Sherry, it proved deadly.
It just takes one pill.
48 Hours investigates ecstasy tonight.
48 Hours tonight at 10, 9 Central. We hope you'll join us then and right here tomorrow for the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. See you soon on 48 Hours.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online, at keyword CBS News.
Heart attack and Viagra. How big is the risk? Details tomorrow. Experience CBS News.
Now, with Jeff Gianola and Kelly Day, this is Coin 6 News at 6.
Think about going to work in a place where you are just 4 feet away from cars and trucks.